Hello.
Hello, Liz. It's Rowan
Hello.
from Silver Tiger Media. How are you?
Hi, Ron. How are you? I'm
Excellent,
very
thank
well.
you. It's a thrill to speak with you. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries.
Now, before I go making us feel about 400 years old with my own recollections of roller mania in our younger days, the high-pitched screaming was deafening. How have your ears survived?
Yeah, I was just checking out my right ear is a little bit not so good as my left ear. But that's because I realise that's because when I'm on stage I use these in-ear monitors and most of the time it's just on the right-hand side, so maybe I'm maybe I'm not so good on the right-hand side. But anyway, everything's good. Rolling.
That's
No worries.
excellent. Excellent news. And before we get too far along, I did want to ask for myself, if I may, is it true that Andrew threw a dart at a map and landed on Bay City, Michigan?
That's absolutely true, yeah. That's
Oh,
absolutely true. They threw some of them landed on, I don't know, someplace in Dirt City, Michigan or something like that, but one of them landed on Bay City. Actually, Alan Longyear, the two brothers who founded the group, Alan and Derek, they already had the rollers. They were just looking for a kind of like American sounding, kind of like the Detroit Spinners or something like that. So that's what they done. They put up a map in school and threw darts at the map, and one of them landed on Bay City, Michigan. And they thought, oh, Bay City Rollers sounds great. So that's what happened. 'Cause prior to that, they were called the Saxons, which, of course, for a Scottish band to be called the Saxons is quite unusual.
absolutely. I can see the problem with that straight away. And at the time, you
Yeah.
were already a full-time musician performing with Threshold. How did your joining BCR come about?
I was invited to leave school when I was 15. That's 1970. That's 47 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was told it would be better if you just did come back to school. So, that was the best day of my life, really, because I thought, great, I don't have to go to school. I can be my free agent. And I joined a band called Threshold, and we had a great laugh. Going up and down, well, mostly Scotland, really, at that time, because we were just a band doing cover songs. I suppose these days you would be a tribute band, that's what I'd probably call you. And I cut my teeth in those 2 years prior to 1973, November, I think it was, I can remember it exactly, November the 18th, 1973, few days after my 18th birthday, a big fella came into the Americana discotheque in Fountain Bridge, Edinburgh, and that was Tartan Painting. And apparently their singer had left them high and dry, and they needed a singer, so they wanted me to join them. So I said, yeah, what's the wages like? £10 a week and all the cigarettes you can smoke. So
Tremendous.
obviously, not not exactly a PC, but that's. I thought, yeah, all the cigarettes I can smoke. Yeah, okay, because I can smoke a lot.
Oh, see.
When I
Now
was
that,
when I was when
sorry.
I was when I was 18, I could smoke a lot. That's for sure. I think the story actually said that.
Oh, of course. Was the tartan incorporated into the look prior to your arrival, or is that something that developed as the classic lineup started to take on the world?
Well, sometimes I think we had the tartan forever, but when I look back to our first debut album, Rolling, which was our biggest selling album of all time, there's no tartan on it at all. The tartan came kind of like after we got our success in the UK. We're Scottish. Rod Stewart was walking around with tartan scarves and that, so we had a tartan scarf, and we thought, how could we embellish the tartan thing? And it was sort of handed to us on a plate when some fans drew pictures of us and sent them to the fan club. Leslie and Laura falling in love with a beach in Bahamas. And they drew us with the kind of iconic Bay City Rollers stuff that you remember the Bay City Rollers sport kind of thing. And so my dad is a tailor, my mum's a seamstress, that's how they met in Belfast. And so my dad run up a set of what you would call roller strollers kind of thing, a basic roller outfit from old cut-off jeans and stuff like that, bits and bobs, and we all thought, yeah, that looks really good, yeah. So, you know, at that time, in the 70s, everybody was looking for something visual that would stand apart from other people. You know, Sweet had their look, Mud had their look, Alvin Stardust had his look. You know, everybody was Slade. I mean, the basic Rose image was actually based mainly on the Slade look, if you remember the band Slade,
Yeah.
where
Yes,
they had
indeed.
these high, you know, Levi jeans turned up quite high. They had these Dr. Martin boots, you know, the big, you know, 19 laces and Dr. Martin boots. They had the braces and they had that kind of street look kind of thing, and that's what we were looking for. And so we kind of like borrowed a bit from here, a bit from there, and put together a basic roller look, and that became very successful for us. It was really I don't know, would you call it a gimmick?
Yeah, well, I guess so, yeah, but it certainly worked, and I'm glad you went for the tartan and not at the time Billy Connolly's banana boots.
Oh yeah, for sure. We didn't go for the banana boots. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, the big yin himself. But speaking of taking on the
uh,
world, you thrilled audiences all over Australia last year with a hugely successful tour. Les, I realise it's almost obtuse of me to ask this question, but certainly not my intention. How does it feel to know that your popularity was still so strong with so very many people?
oh, it tickled me pink. No, it was really great. It was really great. First thing is to mention is the Metropolis Touring Company is absolutely a really great professional company, and I'm always looking for that type of outfit to bring me somewhere. For instance, I haven't been to the United States for quite some time because there isn't really a promoter of the kind of level, for instance, of the Australian touring company Metropolis that could take me there and present me in a proper light kind of thing. And that is one thing I've got to say is brilliant about coming back to Australia. And when I got the opportunity to come last year with Metropolis, I just thought, yeah, these guys, you know, I researched them on, as you can, on Google and all that kind of stuff. You can research people. I thought, yeah, I'll go with these guys. They sound really good. And it turned out the reality of being with that outfit was so much better than even Google said it was. So,
Oh,
you
wow.
know, professional tour manager, professional merchandise people, professional everything, really, really great. I'm so happy that they asked me to come back. Well, actually, they asked me to come back on the last day of the last tour.
Oh, wow. There we go. That's soon. But as you say, they are very professional, even putting the right performers in exactly the right venues. They're tremendous indeed.
Yeah, absolutely great. Everybody from Fraser at the top to whoever's at the bottom, they're all absolutely brilliant. You know, the sound people, monitor people, the stage technicians, everybody is totally professional. And that's what you need if you're going to put on a professional show.
Oh, most certainly. And of course, Fraser would have been happy to some degree that we didn't have a repeat of what was going on November 28th, 1975 here in Australia, but we can sure remember. What was that like for you? Four Scottish lads with that almost instantaneous fame.
Well, I have different memories of that. And I remember being cooked in the back of a security truck every gig. You know, one of those bank job things, those security
Yeah.
things that you know, no air conditioning, and everybody else. And we were looking at those little slots that you get in those security vans, and we were looking at the guys who were supposed to be us, pretending to be us in the limousine, in air conditioned limousines, travelling behind us, and we had to go into these like more or less mobile ovens because it was like I think 41 degrees Celsius when we were in Melbourne, Sydney back then.
Yeah.
I'd never ever been in such a hot place in my whole life.
Oh, there we go. The price of fame, unfortunately. And it was only a year later
Yeah.
when I think from Memory Festival Hall in Melbourne, you had to, the police had to step in to escort you from the screaming masses.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. It was crazy. Once we were in Melbourne, and we were in a limousine, and there were so many fans crushing the kind of car. The roof started to cave in, and we got really, really worried because we thought, wow, we're going to get squashed to death here.
Oh, gosh. Literally devoured
Yeah,
by the
and
fans.
the windows broke. You know, there was just the sheer weight of bodies on the limousine was breaking it up. Just goes to
Oh,
show those
God.
American cars, no good.
No good at all. How did you manage that level of mayhem and madness around you every time you stepped out the house? I mean, did you have a particular method, or you were just sort of rolling with the times?
See what you've done there, rolling with the times. Yeah, I mean the thing is,
Thank you, pardon.
Roland, thing is, Roland, what happened was we got famous in January 1974, and I packed my suitcase and left my mum and dad in the wee house, and I went on tour, and I did come back for 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I
I
look at
was
the
on
tour
an
dates,
adventure.
oh,
I was on
indeed.
an adventure.
From a young man's perspective, without a doubt. And as I look at the tour dates, go from Wednesday the 11th of July in Canberra through Bendigo, Chelsea Heights, Doncaster. I mean, we've got dates all the way through to Saturday the 4th of August when you're heading off to Auckland, to the power station. It's almost reminiscent of those days where you're just on the road all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do 6 months touring in the UK every year. We do 6 weeks in Australia every year. I do 2 weeks in Japan every year. So there's still a big audience there for the Basic Rollers music, and they still appreciate coming out and having a bit of a roller-tastic time, if you want to call it that.
Oh,
So,
wonderfully
yeah,
good.
why not? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's
And
all
as you
good.
said, between 1974 and 1977, we were basically on the road the whole time. Did those days give you any clues as to how you could manage your musical career and still stay so vibrant and fresh as you are?
Not really. I mean, you know, managing a musical career, I've no idea. I've no idea. I just keep doing what I do, and when it works, I just keep doing that thing.
Oh, beautiful.
You know,
Well, I wasn't sure if it
if
might
it
have been
works,
something to do with visiting Japan or perhaps your lovely wife being from Japan. Maybe you'd found something of
yeah.
an Eastern magic.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's an Eastern magic there, that's for sure. But we've been going back to Japan now for several years, and it just gets bigger and bigger all the time. It's difficult because, you know, you're an act from the past type of thing, and the Japanese system is all about, you know, money and bucks and all that kind of stuff. So they all trying to promote the new latest things. So it's a little bit difficult, but we've got our fans, and they know where we are and when we're coming, and that's the great thing about it. You know, with the internet now and all these kind of things, they're all, you know, on my Facebook and on my Twitter feed and all that stuff, so they know everything that's happening, and so do the fans in Australia. They know to come to lesmckeown.com or on my Twitter feed and stuff like that, and they know what's happening. And it's a kind of, I suppose it's a little kind of clique audience kind of thing. But yeah, it's really great to be able to reach out and get back together again and have a bit of a roller-tastic time.
Beautifully put. I must ask you about Japan because that was really something. I guess the popularity rolled on from Australia into Japan, and you turned the place tartan, which was remarkable in itself. But considering their culture and history with family mons and so forth, did they have any understanding of what the tartan was actually all about, or is just the Bay City Rollers and that's it?
Well, for sure, you know, Scottish whiskey is very famous in Japan.
Indeed.
I think we got to Japan just at the right time, if you know what I mean. The kind of the post-war period and kind of thing, a bit of austerity kind of thing, and the Japan was opening up and it was making thousands of people feel, a little bit good and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're talking about 1975, 1976.
Mm.
So quite a long time ago when Japan was just really exploding. It was like a big bubble. And the young kids also, I mean, I'll never forget being in the Hilton Hotel and looking out over the Hilton Hotel gardens to a sea of Japanese girls with little tartan stuff on, tartan kimonos, tartan everything. I fully expected everybody in Japan to be in a kimono. Of course. Because,
Yes, naturally.
that's what you expect. You expect them to be in their traditional clothes. But it was quite bizarre to see that. It was really amazing. And they've
Oh,
stuck
that's
by me all these years as well, so they've supported me all these years. Good luck to them.
indeed, all this time. But it's no wonder because it is the music of our childhoods and the childhoods of so many. You must have people expressing the stories to you all the time about Bay City Roller Days as well as music from your own catalogue of solo albums that has meant so much to people over the years. Are there any
Yeah.
particular memorable stories that fans have shared with you about how your music has touched their lives?
There is a lot of kind of like quite dark things that people shared with me that is it's kind of like a little bit sad in a way. How our music helped them through some very rough times with a bit of abuse and all that kind of stuff. And it, some people have opened up to me. It's quite tear-jerking, really, some of the more serious stuff. But, of course, there's also the lighter stuff where people had a great time. They were at school, all their friends and all that kind of stuff. We were all roller fans. We all wore the roller strollers and the costumes to school. And we never had a boyfriend. We were waiting for you, Les. You were my boyfriend and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
there's a light and a darkness to the whole thing. I'm quite kind of proud in a way that a lot of the let's say the darker side that I was unknown or unbeknownst to me was part of people's kind of like I don't know what do you call it, like something to hold on to, if you know what I mean, some kind of some treasure to hold on to, some
Nice
belief that things
memento.
are going to get better type of thing.
Indeed. Wow, that really is something. And I don't want to put you in a position where you have to tell me to feck off and ask me to mind my own business by asking.
Wow, can you say that on Australian radio?
Oh, of course you can. We just edit it out. We'll change it to feck.
You did say feck. You did
I
say feck, like the Irish did.
Absolutely. And what was
What
the
is
appeal of the 70s? Because it clearly wasn't the money for you guys. The manager got all that. What was the real appeal? Was it just the popularity and being celebrated?
Definitely. The girls.
Oh, but you don't need to say any more, really, do you?
There you go.
But I must ask, with respect, and with the appeal of your current tour, and as we look forward to you coming out to seeing us again and filling up rooms of people screaming, not quite at the same pitch, but certainly screaming, what's the thrill for you up on stage now? Is it just that watching us relive our childhoods with you?
Well, I mean, I go out the stage almost 3 or 4 nights a week, and there's a sea of audience, smiley faces, thinking, "Come on, Les, give us your best." And that's what keeps me going, And I actually enjoy being slightly a little bit of a perfectionist. I like the band to be playing every note, every beat the same as the original records. I like every voice to be the same as the harmonies on the original record. So I try my very best always. That's why we do like 2-hour sound checks every day to just make sure that everybody's on the spot, right on the button. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're not lazy. We like to just make it sound as best as we can, and the rest of it it's easy going because it's just about performance and dancing, and, touching hands and smiling and stuff like that, which is it just comes naturally anyway.
Oh, absolutely. And I realise you pressed for time, Liz, this morning. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to speak with us, and we look forward to your tour very
Oh, no
much.
worries.
If I could ask you one last question, if you could take that weird laddie baby here and offer the Liz of 1973 some advice, what do you think it would be?
Stay out of the way. I'm coming.
Beautifully put. Sounds brilliant. Liz, thank you again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you
All
very,
right,
very
Rowan.
soon here in Australia.
Thank you. I hope you can spend some time and come and see us and say hello.
Absolutely. We'll be following you around Melbourne like we're teenage girls from Japan in tartan, screaming all the way.
Well, okay. Wear the proper
Tremendous.
uniform then.
Exactly, yes. Brilliant.
All right then, Roland. I'll
Thank
be
you,
watching
Liz.
for you. Take
Travel
care.
safely,
Bye-bye.
my friend.
Bye. Bye.